Howdy. This week our broadcast comes to you from the beautiful campus of SMU, where Texas A&M takes on the Mustangs here at Gerald Ford Stadium. It's the 81st meeting of these two ball clubs, and we'll be in the stadium to bring you complete coverage of the Fighting Texas Aggie Band's halftime performance. We'll bring you highlights of the Mustang Marching Band, as well as our weekly cadet report and new feature stories about Texas A&M. On behalf of our corporate sponsors at BJ's Restaurant and Brew House, and celebrating our 20th consecutive season broadcast, this is the Texas Aggie Band Show. Our weekly cadet report is brought to you by our sponsors at the Texas Aggie Corps Cadets Association. Sarah, let's introduce our cadet feature for this week.
This segment of the show features a cadet in the Corps of Cadets who wishes to share a special story. This week's focus is on a cadet who could have been studying at the Juilliard School of Music in New York City, but instead decided to come to A&M to study music. He also has interesting qualifications that could provide challenges after graduation. Let's meet Spencer J., Texas Aggie Band Class of 2015 musician and licensed pilot.
After you make the Texas All-State Band, letters just flood in from everywhere, and I had letters from Juilliard and just a whole bunch of different music conservatories. And but I felt that when I went to college, I wanted more than just an experience in playing an instrument or playing in a band. I wanted to meet many diverse, different people and have many different opportunities, and I felt that Texas A&M offered all those in one for me. My Sunday school teacher is in the Army, and he also has his airplane license as well, CFI. And he offered me one day, hey, would you like to get your pilot's license? And I said, absolutely. And so it all started from there. And it's just something that gives me a completely different perspective of God's creation and kind of the world that we live in. And it's just something that my mind is still not able to just grasp completely, imagining I'm 27,000 feet above the air and everyone else is below me. Well, the Aggie Band is by far the most unique college band there is out there. They do something that no one else does, and they do it to such an efficient and exact way. I grew up in East Texas, where military marching bands are the only place that they exist anymore, and I knew that was something I'd like to do again. And going and seeing A&M and my cousin in the Aggie Band just blew my mind. They were doing things that I didn't even know you could do in high school marching band, doing military style. So seeing that was an automatic, like, wow, I really want to be a part of something that takes what I already have known my whole life to the next level, and doing it in a place that's just premier across the country. Man, Wind Symphony, Symphonic Winds, I've been able to be a part of both of them with Dr. Ray and Captain Almany. The difference, it's astronomical. The Aggie Band is all about volume and sound and being robust, and then transitioning to the Wind Symphony, playing quietly and playing with a lot of finesse. And Dr. Ray just does a wonderful job with those students, getting them to really be a world-class performing ensemble.
Thanks to Cadet Jay for joining us this week. We're proud that he can serve as our private pilot in future years. Here's the fourth trivia question for the season. Please stay tuned to the end of the broadcast to see the answer.
The growth in the Corps Cadets is certainly remarkable, and the recruiting team is succeeding. But when a cadet is part of Texas A&M, their objective being here is to get their degree from Texas A&M, and academics is succeeding. While some detractors may say being part of the Corps Cadets could be a distraction in the classroom, it's actually working to the cadets' advantage. Thanks to the focus by the Commandant's Office, by the academic advisors, unit outfit advisors, and Corps staff, the cadets are succeeding in the classroom and preparing for life after Texas A&M.
We are extremely fortunate in the Corps of Cadets that we have faculty and staff here on campus who volunteer their time to come over and mentor our cadets. So they're here to give those students that perspective of what this looks like in industry, in education, that's much greater than the classroom.
I am active in the University Advisors and Counselors, which is a group here on campus of counselors and advisors that are on staff here at A&M. I was in a monthly meeting one day. Somebody made an announcement that the Commandant's Office was looking for people to serve as mentors. So I said, okay. I am a big proponent of the pay it forward mentality. I did not go to school here at A&M. I moved here in 2008, and I found the Aggie community to be just very welcoming, even for somebody that came from Austin, and may at some point have had an affiliation with another school, but that has been rectified. And just everybody here was so welcoming. I was working with students that some were regs, some were non-regs, and this was really my opportunity to give something back outside of my day-to-day job.
The Academic Mentor Program is really great here. We call it White Belt Mentoring, and that's when a senior level cadet or a junior level cadet gets in contact with a sophomore or freshman, and they just mentor them throughout the semester. As far as their uniform goes as well, there's the OR cord, which is the blue and white cord here, and this shows that I'm available anytime to help tutor a cadet. It's a lot of fun to walk down the quad and see the gold and silver star right on a cadet's uniform. The silver star shows they got a 3.5 or better, and a gold star shows that they got a 4.0.
I try to provide an outsider perspective, a little unbiased. I'm not here to make anybody stay in the Corps, but I try to help the student, evaluate all sides of the situation. Is it more of a time management issue where they have such a structured schedule every day, so really it's finding the pockets of time to study or to have a life and be able to contact friends.
At the core level in the academic and OR side of mentoring, that's very academically focused, and that's how you would know as a parent that your cadet's in great hands. They're paired up with another cadet that has done very well and is generally in the same major, so they have major specific questions that they can answer really quickly.
What I do in my full-time job, I am able to pull grades at midterm for my students, and then once grades post, we receive rosters from the Commandant's Office that lists the grades for our outfits, and if I am seeing grades that aren't quite where we want them to be, then I will contact a cadet directly through email or a phone call. It's really nice to see that progression from your typical core fish that's at the bottom of the food chain to these achievers that are doing well. I think they set a really good example about you can have all these responsibilities and this tough schedule with the Corps, waking up early and having a very regimented study time, but you can also do all these other things and still maintain a 3.5 GPR and a STEM major.
The Corps did a fantastic job this past spring, not only in their individual performance as classes, but as an overall Corps. We are knocking on the door of beating the university, but we continue to match their performance through the Corps. What we're most proud about is our freshmen and sophomores in the Corps outperformed their university counterparts by a significant grade point difference. And that's huge for us because that's the promise in the Corps.
When I talk to the young men and women who are part of the Corps Cadets, it's amazing to see how they handle successfully the demands of being in the Corps as well as demands of being in such a high-level institution such as Texas A&M. But if you ask a cadet what their most proud moment is being on Texas A&M's campus, they might mention initially their Aggie senior ring or their senior boots, but certainly all of them turn to the day that they walk that stage and receive a degree from Texas A&M University. Our next feature is brought to you by our sponsors at Montelongo's Fine Jewelry. If you ask any senior cadet their prized possessions their senior year, they first will tell you maybe their Aggie senior ring, which they are awarded once they achieve enough academic hours to be classified as a senior in their major. But more importantly, are their senior boots. The senior boots, while being the most recognizable part of the cadet uniform, have not always been a part of the cadet uniform, nor the exact style worn today. When the Reserve Officer Training Corps was established in 1914, the cadet uniforms were revised from the West Point style to be more in line with the military standard issue. It was at this time that cadet seniors started wearing the tall, English-style riding boots fashioned after U.S. Cavalry Rough Rider boots to distinguish them from the other cadets. By the period of the 1920s, the senior boots became a standard part of the uniform. The main boot maker for the Aggie senior boots starting out was Lucchese's in San Antonio, but a young man by the name of Joseph Hollick And if that name is familiar to you, he's the one that started and founded the Fighting Texas Aggie Band, was actually a cobbler on campus. He opened a shop there and then moved to Northgate, where he became the chief producer of Aggie Senior Boots. Mr. Joseph Hollick died at the advanced age of 103 years in 1971. The shop remained at its location in Northgate until 2006, when the family moved the shop to Welborn Road. The descendants still run the shop and continue to make those prized senior boots. Before the semester began, we got a chance to talk to the craftsman and to a senior about what it means to have a pair of Hollick's senior boots.
And when school starts back up, we're really excited when school starts back up. Even though there's a tremendous amount of work, we're pretty excited because the cadets are back and we've got action, we've got some life. Well, the telltale signs of a senior boot that's made here at Hollick's, there's a couple of things. The tongue on the boot, which is basically where the top portion of the boot is connected to the bottom portion of the boot. So if you look down at the boots and you see the mushroom-shaped tongue, then you can tell right away that that's a Hollick boot. It's kind of weird. I don't know if I'm just a different person, but every pair of boots that I make, I put a piece of myself into it because I want to make a good boot. I wanted to be the best bootmaker that ever came through here. So every step, every process of making the boot, I pour a little bit of myself into. And so literally when these cadets leave here, they're taking a piece of me with them. So there's a different feeling when you make something that you pour yourself into and you're letting it go out the door with somebody. A&M's big in tradition, and Hollick's is part of that.
I'm the third Don in my family, and so I wanted to kind of honor my granddad and my dad. And so on the top of both butterflies, I have my dad and my granddad's class years, and then on the bottom I have the Ross Volunteer logo and also my outfit logo. Just the two organizations within the Corps that I really put a lot of work into, and so I really wanted to remember that for the rest of my life. I try to just stick with the color that they came as, because I figure, that's the way the bootmaker made them, so that's the way they're meant to be. So I try to keep a clear coat on top of my boot to make them really shiny, and I don't try to darken it or anything like that. So absolutely, it definitely is everything I thought it to be. Just clopping around and hearing that noise, and then you can see people looking at your boots, and you just get to smiling inside knowing everybody notices you walking around campus. So it's a great feeling.
Also performing at today's game is the SMU Mustang Band, known as the best dressed band in the land. Here's some highlights of their performance.
I'm Preston Survey from College Station, Texas A&M, Agriculture and Economics. On behalf of the senior class of 2015 and my latest student development section, here now is a halftime drill of the Fighting Texas Aggie Band at the Texas A&M University versus SMU football game at Ford Stadium. The Fighting Texas Aggie Band's halftime drill is brought to you each week by Traditional Golf Club and Methodist University. Hey!
On the north Rock Field. Commander of the combined band is Cadet Colonel Martin Watt. The executive officer is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Winter. The head drum major is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Timothy McMahon. Artillery band drum major is Cadet Major Garrett Davis. Infantry band drum major is Cadet Major Sean Jordan. Ladies and gentlemen, before you on the playing field is the pulse of the spirit of Aggieland, the 2014-2015 from Austin, Texas, Aggie Band.
Thanks for watching our broadcast. On the screen now is the answer to our trivia question. Yes, it was California Morris who's the first drum major of Texas A&M. There was some discussion among the cadets who should be the first drum major. They settled it by fisticuffs. Thus the name, the Fighting Texas Aggie Band. Next week we'll be right back here with the Aggie Band in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as Texas A&M takes on Arkansas in the Southwest Classic. It'll be in Arlington, Texas, and that morning the entire Corps of Cadets will march in downtown Fort Worth. Thanks to the generosity of Aggies across the nation, the entire Corps of Cadets will attend the game. We'll bring you the Aggie Band's halftime performance, highlights of the Arkansas Band, our Weekly Cadet Report, and new feature stories about Texas A&M. On behalf of our corporate sponsors, BJ's Restaurant and Brew House, and celebrating our 20th consecutive season broadcast, this has been the Texas Aggie Band Show.